thank you all for coming. My name's Chris. I'm the product marketing manager here at Planetar, and I've got two guests with me today for this, and they are Alex Coombs, the founder of Northern Spruce Media, a real estate marketing and advertising company in Hamilton, Ontario.
Yeah.
She taught for 11 years at Mohawk College, where she taught aspiring media creators photography, videography, editing, and graphic design. Thank you for coming, Alex.
Thank you.
And we also have Jonathan Lee, the founder of JW Lee Media, real estate media company located in Northern Florida. He's a specialist in architectural photography and also a teacher of aspiring photographers. So that means we've got two teachers in the house. That's like that's really intimidating. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, I got my teacher training in as a drill instructor in the military, so it's a little bit different than what Alex was doing.
I don't have any actual teaching training. I just got thrown into it and I just kept doing it. So
just by instinct. That's cool.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody in the chat said they're from Northeast Florida here. Fadi, what's going on, bud? Beautiful weather we got today.
The weather's not too shabby here in Canada either.
Good today.
Yeah, it's like basically summer now, I guess.
You guys put the parkas away?
No, not yet. No. My car's still full of snow brushes and ice scrapers. You know, just you learn over the years never to take them for granted, you know. So now that we've got that out of the way, I think it would be useful to sort of talk about what it is that we're going to cover today. So the goal of this this webinar is to sort of take your knowledge, Jonathan and Alex, and wring it out of you for the benefit of the viewers. And we're going to do that by going through sort of a series of sort of questions and topics one by one. And that's going to take, like 45 minutes or so. And then if there's enough time, we'll do questions at the end. So to start things off, it would be fun to get a sense of, of your shooting style and what you're all about by kind of hearing about sort of like the gear that you use. And if it would be okay with you, I'd like to know not only sort of what gear you use in cameras and gimbals and drones and stuff, but kind of like how you got there, if that makes any sense. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go first. So first of all, hello everyone. Thank you for joining. This is awesome, and I can't wait to learn from everybody else here in the group too. But in terms of gear, we are only shooting Sony. Every single person that we bring on must shoot Sony. We do have a nice partnership with Sony as well. So with that being said, with our quality, we want everything to kind of look the same regardless of the shooter. Of course, we train them to shoot certain standards for different people, but at the end of the day, I don't want somebody's video or photos looking like Canon for one client and it looking like Sony from the other. For another client. So for us, it's pure Sony. It doesn't really matter what body it is. We have the Sony A4 all the way to the A1, and then we have the FX3s for the content. But at the end of the day, Sony S-Log, that's the way we shoot our video, and then HDR for photos as well.
That's cool. How did you land on Sony? I mean, everybody.
Yeah, how did I land on it? The first camera I ever bought was a Canon, and that was like when I was 18. And then Sony came out with like their mirrorless cameras, and I was like, well, I'm really into shooting video. And when they came out with their mirrorless, it was the low light, blah, 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 like it's this, it's that. So I was like, why not? I bit the bullet, switched, and I haven't left.
That makes sense. I think a lot of people get started with Sony because of video. Yeah, for sure. How about you, Jonathan?
I'm a Nikon guy. I started on film back in the day, and I just never left it. When I went to the digital side, I picked up a D300 and kind of worked my way up through that. And then when the Z mount came out, I was this close to switching to Sony. I was doing a lot of weddings and a lot of portrait work and a lot of stuff like that at the time, and I was refusing to shoot with a camera that only had one card slot. So as soon as they came out with the dual card slot, I went up to the Z6 II, the Z7 II, sold both of those. I'm on the Z8 and the Z9 now, mainly for redundancy. They're wildly overkill for what you would need in real estate. However, I do love the fact that I can shoot 12-bit uncompressed raw internal video without worrying about my camera overheating. Canon. So, but no, the great thing about living in today is all of the camera manufacturers, you know, the big ones, Sony, Nikon, Canon, and even you know, Olympus and Fuji are making some killer cameras out there. Whether they translate that well into real estate, that's left to be said. I don't know how much about that, but yeah, mostly Nikon. I'm on DJI for drones. I have had some experience with Autel drones, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And of course, I'm on the iGUIDE system. So
Thank you for mentioning that. So what would you pick for a starter camera? We have a lot of people who are, you know, new to real estate photography, and they're you know, either struggling with something that maybe doesn't quite fit, like they you know, they have a T5 with like the kit lens, and they're like, this isn't
right.
working for me, and they need to take that next step. What would you recommend for someone who's actually in? Hold on.
Go ahead, Alex.
For us, our starting camera is just the Sony A4. It's like the good photo, the good video. It's not too extreme. The menu is actually easy to go through, and at that point, once you understand the Sony menu, you're going to be good for most of the other cameras. But I would say the Sony A4, and then obviously the best lens to start off with is the 16 to 35. No need for a G Master right off the hop. That's overkill. So I would say grow into that because they are pricey.
I'm echoing right with Alex. Now, is that full frame or crop?
Full frame.
Full frame. Okay, yeah, because you're starting on a 16 millimeter. So if you're on the Nikon side, I can speak to that. I know just a couple weeks ago they came out with the new Z5 Mark II, and that thing looks absolutely amazing for the price. You definitely can't go wrong if you're first starting out. I would highly encourage people to go full frame, mainly because, you know, it kind of helps your lens choice and it helps you kind of grow into the system a little bit more, like Alex was talking about. And so you have some good video features there with the Z5 Mark II as well. And then I would say if you're just starting out and you're not doing video, don't worry about getting the 14 to 24 2.8 lens, because you're not going to be shooting at 2.8 unless you're really doing a lot of video work. So I would say go with the 14 to 30 f4, which is about $1,200-$1,300 versus the 14 to 24 2.8, which is about $2,500. So you can save yourself some money there and really get into a great system there for less than $3,000 and be shooting nonstop with that.
Okay, I did a thing. I launched a poll.
You did.
Okay,
I clicked X. I didn't know what it was.
I've never done a poll before. This is so exciting. So in real time, I'm going to read you the results. So there's quite a few people here, over 30% who are just getting started. And then there's another sort of almost 40% that are just like occasional shooters or part-time. So the vast majority of people who are attending this webinar right now are yeah, interested in sort of that either beginner information or sort of like, you know, that sort of scale up kind of information. Like what should I get to after I've got my first few shoots? Okay, cool. That gives us some context. So the next question I want to ask you guys is about, and this is really good for both, you know, sort of new people and experienced people, because it's a hot topic, is about pricing and how you set your pricing. So I guess what I'd like to know is how you set your pricing for your market, you know, and the rationale sort of behind that.
That's a really good question. I feel like don't underestimate yourself, number one. So if you are just starting out and you're learning, like learn with your pricing for sure. So if you feel like you're at the bottom of the barrel and you just picked up a camera, I would even suggest like doing things just to make it by, but do not underestimate yourself. The moment you think like you're matching your competition's quality, raise your prices. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want to degrade the industry with a low price and then lowball everybody around you. It feels sad for for everybody. So yeah, the moment you feel confident in what you're doing and you're looking at your stuff and you're getting compliments and you're getting referrals, think about raising your prices a little bit. So for me, my price points are a little bit higher because I have a lot of overhead, office space. I have a lot of employees under my belt, and we're constantly growing. So every year I do raise my prices because, I mean, my employees ask for raises, and then as my employees ask for raises, my payroll goes up, my overhead gets higher. So I have to constantly be upgrading my prices a little bit. And you know, at the end of the day, the clients, they don't run away from that because they're so used to our quality, and the trust is there. You know, so if I'm just raising my prices an extra $20 to $50, they're not going to run away to go to somebody that's $50 cheaper because of the quality. There's the trust, and at the end of the day, they love our team and love our work culture. So I would say check your competition's pricing and compare the quality of work from you to them. And you know what? At the end of the day, if you want to talk to your competition even and say, hey, I'm thinking about going to my prices to your range. How do you feel about that? And you know, they'll probably feel really good.
Yeah,
Hey, wow.
I agree with everything that Alex said. And it's funny too, because I don't run a full scale business like Alex is. One of the biggest complaints that I started receiving from realtors in my area when I first got started out was, you know, I used to work with so-and-so, and then they started making a bunch of money and they hired people that weren't them to come do the job. And then the quality went down, and then I wasn't. So those people had gotten used to building a reputation with that one person. And I know that's one of the big asks in our area for a lot of the higher end realtors and stuff like that. So at that point, I made the vow that, you know, anytime you're working with me, you're working directly with me. So I'm a lone gunman, you know, and the only overhead I really have is, you know, just running the business, lots of gas money, and the you know, outsourcing. I do outsource my editing and stuff like that. So when it comes to my pricing, I think when I initially hit the market back in 2017, the lowest you could get me out for was about 160. And then since then, like Alex said, best thing you can do for your business is raise your prices. And I think in the beginning, a lot of people are going to want to ask you for discounts and do all these different kinds of things and take advantage. You know, and as you progress and get better, and you've got great reviews rolling in, and you can justify the price that you're charging, now the lowest somebody can get me out for is right around 190, and that's for a sub 1,500 square foot home. And you know, it kind of trims off some of those low hanging fruit. And some of those are kind of your problem children anyway, that you don't want to deal with. The people that complain a lot about things. And I find that I have gotten a lot less ridiculous complaints now that my prices have gone up. So I can kind of pick and choose, you know, who I work with. And that makes my quality of life a lot better.
The
That's
power
cool.
of saying no is amazing. It's like
It
if
absolutely
someone's
is.
coming at you with, hey, can I get a discount on this because the properties are side by side? Saying no is so powerful, and it puts people back in their place, and then they respect you for saying no. And
You have to set, yeah,
yeah,
you have
and
to set boundaries in this industry for sure.
boundaries are massive because you'll get walked all over so fast.
Absolutely will.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's amazing. I was going to ask you how you would deal with that. Someone asking for a discount. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Neat.
So,
All right.
so these days, this is something I get asked a lot. You know, how do I deal with people asking for discounts? If I have a client that asks for a discount on first contact, I immediately let them know that, you know, hey, I'm probably not the guy you want to work with. You know, because I don't do discounts. I do discounts for my high volume clients. If I do 10 or more for you in a 12-month period, then I give you a 10% discount. And those are my volume clients. Those are the people that are putting food on the table. And so I don't give a discount until you meet that threshold.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so follow-up question. What do you do when someone wants something that is outside of what you would typically offer? So they want a discount, but because they don't want whatever deliverable it is that you provide, but they want something else that's attached to. So for example, they want a video, but they don't want to pay the full price. They want some other type of video, just as an example.
So, yeah. So when it comes to that, typically I build my pricing out where I have a la carte pricing and I have packages. I love having both because I kind of serve two totally different markets. Being here on the fringe of Jacksonville, I do a lot of urban stuff and I do a lot of rural stuff just outside. And so when somebody wants a custom package or a custom price on something, if it's a one-off, I have no problem giving them some type of a custom price on it, whatnot, something that's going to be reasonable. Because at the end of the day, I want to work with people that want to work with me, and that's just going to bring more business in. And then if it's something that I hear, two or three times where people are like, "Hey, can I just do this? Can I just do this?" Then I will make a package that's specifically that. If I see it's something that has a desire for and a need for.
Mhm. I mean, for us, like I have a team of super creative people. So if they're, for example, somebody is looking for something that's out of our scope of work, we'll figure it out. If it's something so new, we will try and do it for free. You know what I mean? So if somebody's like, "Hey, I want the FPV drone to go from here to here and all over the place," or something like that, I'll be like, "Okay, you know what? I can't charge you for this because I don't know how it's actually going to look. It could look like complete shit." Um, so in that case, like, yeah, I'll be like, "Okay, you know what? This is a testing thing for us and it's a learning thing for us. If we're going to learn and grow from this one opportunity, amazing. Then I'm so willing to do that because they're also giving us an opportunity to do something different, whereas most agents also won't."
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Okay, so this webinar was, I think I mentioned off the top, based on a survey. And the number one thing people really wanted to know was sort of like how to get clients. And so if we skew that sort of toward newer people, how did you get your first 10 clients? What did you do when you were starting it?
Yeah, my first 10 clients, I met, you know what? When I started the company, I actually owned a different company. It was called Crafted, and I was making hats. I'm a hat person. I love wearing hats. So I was meeting people and selling hats and designing hats for people, and some of them were agents. So the first house I actually ever shot, I didn't get paid for, and I probably didn't get paid for the first 20 because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just like, let me see what this is all about. And then once I got good at it, I started charging, and then I was like, okay, there's an actual business here. And at the time, there wasn't real estate photography all over the place like there is now. There's one on every corner, like Tim Hortons in here in Canada. So, I mean, we're all over the place. But when I first started, the one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to put myself into real estate agent's shoes. And what they do is they do cold calling, they do door knocking, they put themselves out there. And if you get rejected, it is what it is. And rejection makes you stronger. So, I mean, what I did was I hit the ground running. I went on Google Maps and I was like, okay, all the brokerages in this area, I'm going to get some brochures and booklets printed, business cards, high end. I'm a very quality kind of person. So anything that felt good, looked good, could even smell good, you know what I mean? Hit those senses, and I would go and I'd be like, "Hey, here's this. I want to do a presentation to all your agents," and most of them said yes, because they saw me as someone that could educate, and then I would get clients from doing those presentations.
It's wild though, 20 houses without getting paid. So, but your skill level probably jumped from like 0 to like 120 houses. So that's probably totally worth it, right?
First time I shot a house, I legit didn't turn on any single like one light because I just thought, natural light as a photographer, natural light's the way to go. And they're like, and I left the toilet seats up. It's like, there's no way I could charge for that.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you went brokerage to brokerage with physical materials. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So again, Alex and I cut from the same cloth. I very similar. I was a semi well-established brand as a photographer. Had a lot of friends on social media and stuff like that. And fun fact, the second most issued license in the United States behind the driver's license is the real estate license. So everybody knows three realtors. Okay. So the first thing I did was I reached out on my personal social media and said, "Hey, do I have any friends on here that are realtors, or do I have any friends that know some really good realtors?" That was step one. Step two, exactly what Alex did. I made very high quality brochures and pamphlets. And because North Florida, the Jacksonville area is another fun fact, Jacksonville, Florida is the second largest land-wise city in the United States next to Juneau, Alaska. Okay. So we have a huge market here. And I would drive to an area of town, park in a parking lot at like a Target or something like that. And I would pull up real estate agency and I would make myself a route and I would go to every single one of them with a stack of flyers and say, hey, can I hand these out? I did that for maybe the first year I was in business. And since 2018 or 2019, everything has been, I do not advertise. Everything is word of mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a perfect segue. Oh, sorry, you go. What were you saying?
Yeah. The thing too is like, I think people nowadays hide behind text. You know, they hide behind a screen. So going out there and like using your words and showing your face and showing that like you are dedicated to doing this face to face, like a job interview, it's going to go much farther than you sending somebody a DM, because you know how many DMs my real estate agents get? Probably hundreds, and they decline them all because that's just an easy way out. You know what I mean? So I mean, showing face, showing that like you're educated and like you're passionate about what you want to do will go much farther than sending somebody a DM that they can delete immediately.
Yeah, at the end of the day, really, 90% of this business is relationship building.
Yeah.
And the more you can put yourself in front of that agent, the more you can create a personal connection. And realtors want to work with somebody they can have a personal connection with, because let's face it, everybody and their brother has their hands in realtors' pockets. And they want someone that they know, that they can trust, and that they feel comfortable with. And when you reach a certain level of proficiency in real estate photography, there's 20 other people in your area that do it at that level. Those realtors are going to want to work with you because they like who you are as a person and what you bring to the table.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, this is incredible insight. So what you're saying, if I got that right, is face-to-face is really effective because that's how the real estate industry works, and you're building a relationship and you're showing them who you are in person, and so they can't ignore your DM. That checks out. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So that naturally segues into my next question, which is, when you're first starting out, you have to do things a little differently. But now that both of you are so well established, and you had already mentioned this, Jonathan, in terms of referrals, but what do you do now to get new clients or keep your current clients or, grow your business from a lead generation perspective?
Make sure that I have a good web presence. Make sure that my SEO is good on my websites, so that I'm kind of, showing up where anytime somebody searches for somebody in my area, that I'm showing up that way. And really a lot of it is just staying active, keep putting things out. I'm extremely active. I'm a photography addict. And so I love doing real estate photography. Feeds my my addiction to all the other photography that I do. And I'm very involved in Professional Photographers of America. I'm the president of the Professional Photographers of North Florida, which is our local affiliate. I'm very active in Florida Professional Photographers. So I get out and I compete in photography. I win a lot of awards. I just achieved my master's degree through Professional Photographers of America. I'm about to achieve my craftsman degree. I'm a certified professional photographer. Those different types of things, when I tell my clients about all those things and they see them on Facebook and stuff like that, all these awards that I'm winning, when they go into that listing appointment and they're paired up against, other realtor, they can say, oh, by the way, this is the photographer that I work with. He was Photographer of the Year for the last 2 years in Jacksonville, People's Choice winner for the last 3 years in Jacksonville, and top 5 photographer for the last 5 years in Jacksonville. And 90% of the time, that wins my client the listing.
Very good. That's awesome. You being a photography addict, I'm the opposite. I'm like a business addict. I don't shoot anymore. I don't pick up a camera. I don't shoot houses at all. I have a team to do so I can focus on the growth of the business. But for me, the way we get clients at this point, because yeah, we can have referral, but in our area, everybody already knows who we are. We have all the largest clients in our area, which is amazing. So it's the referrals, like it's very less and less. And I cannot rely on, Bob calling his favorite real estate agent being like, go to Alex, her team's amazing. I don't know when that's coming. It's unpredictable. So for us, what we did, once I realized we're kind of known in our area, we amped up our Instagram. So I hired a social media manager, amping up our Instagram and creating our brand and making that more present. I got my team more involved on social media. I also did like you, Jonathan. I have our SEO, so I hired a digital marketing guy in-house. So our digital marketing is also leveling up. And at the end of the day, I actually attend a lot of, networking events. So I'm always networking. I go to real estate events and I just show face to the point where people are thinking that I'm a real estate agent now. But I'm just like always showing my face, always showing my brand, and that's how we're just locking in other clients.
Yeah, no, that's extremely important. All of that.
You guys get along too well. Need to, need to stir up some controversy so you can.
Well, I mean, we the two of us run completely different styles. I mean, our foundation is very similar, but Alex is running a very successful, multi-person business, and I'm a lone gunman. Those are kind of the two different roads. There's in real estate photography, there's a lot of like different paths you can kind of go down. Alex and I both shoot HDR. I'm very proficient in shooting flash and ambient, which we call the flambient technique. So I can do that as well. So there's a lot of different things that, you're going to try out and see how they work. And with Alex, like she said, she's a business addict. So running that business for her, like that's what feeds her, right? For me, I'm a control freak. I cannot I can't let somebody else out there be the face of my brand. That is what my brand has become, is me. And that's what that word of mouth. And one thing that I forgot to mention, and I don't know if I'm sure you probably do this, Alex, I incentivize my agents to refer me. So anybody who gives a referral, they have a code that they can give. And when they refer, it automatically applies a $100 credit to their account to use towards their next listing.
That's amazing. I don't do that,
Yeah.
but I love that. I should.
That's huge. My clients love that, especially my high volume guys, because they're out there. I'm shooting 3, 4, 5 houses a month for them, and they're like, "Oh, give me the discounts. Give me the discounts."
Yeah.
Hey, this is really interesting. So I'm going to ask you guys a question, but it's going to be the reverse for each of you. So it's a "what do you do" question, because people always love those. So what do you do, Jonathan, when someone wants you specifically, but you can't be there because obviously you're scheduling or something? And then sort of the reverse or the complementary question is, Alex, what do you do when someone goes, but it's not you, but you were expected? You know what I mean?
Yeah. For me, it was like Jonathan, I loved control. I loved it. And yeah, it got to a point where when I wasn't showing up, people were like, who the heck's this guy? But it was that trust that I really had to like embed in their brains and be like, listen, I trained this person far before this is not his first shoot. Okay. So he is trained, he's personable, and he has the same vibe. And at the end of the day, your video is going to look the same. If you weren't at this shoot, you wouldn't know who shot it. And it took a while to get there, it took a long time to get there, but now everybody understands that I had to pull out to grow the business. Every real estate agent wants to grow. And they then saw like, hey, Alex wants to grow. She wants to grow for her team. She wants to grow for this company. And she wants to grow for us. Because, if it's just me shooting everything 8 houses a day, then how the heck am I going to even have time to edit? How the heck am I going to have the energy to go out the next day? And how am I going to make room for the one agent that wants a last minute booking? I needed the people. So yeah, that's my
That's
answer.
cool. That makes sense. So kind of painful up front, but then obviously as expectations start to get met, then the trust gets built. That makes a lot of sense. So Jonathan, what do you do when you're one guy, you're too busy?
Yeah. Yeah. So in the beginning, that was very difficult. Luckily, in the beginning, I didn't do a whole lot of travel outside. But being where I am now in photography, because I do so much teaching and stuff, like just last week, I was down in Miami teaching a full 1-day class on real estate photography. And in August, I have a 5-day class in Miami that's going to be coming up as well. That's again where I'm going to go back to being involved in the professional atmosphere of professional photographers in North Florida and PPA and things like that. We have some local folks that were interested in getting into real estate photography, and I'm an open book type of person. I don't keep any secrets. If I can teach somebody how to achieve the level of personal satisfaction and growth that I've achieved, then I'm all for it. So I
No
would take
filter.
people,
Same.
yeah, I would take people under my wing and let them go out and shadow me for a day and things like that. And I have a good friend that lives just down the road from me, and he runs a real estate photography business as well. If I'm going to be out of town, he can pick up right where I leave off. And my clients know him, my clients love him, and they're very receptive to, hey, and one thing is obviously I communicate that with my clients a lot. If I'm going to be out of town, a lot of the time it's not going to be something last minute. So I let them know as soon in advance as I possibly can and say, hey, I'm going to be out of town for this amount of time. So if you want to get it in with me, get it in before or after. But if something comes up while I'm gone, my buddy Tim's got your back.
That makes sense. Setting expectations. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So my next question is really interesting for me. Most of these questions are just ones I want answers to. I know I made this whole thing about it's a survey. No, it's just so tell me, each of you, about your brand, and kind of like tell me the story of how you built it and then how you got where you are now in terms of that brand.
Jonathan, you go ahead.
I'm just letting you guys, like, I'm trying to create tension here. So, the more you.
So how I built my brand, I hung my shingle out as a professional photographer back in 2009 when I was still active duty military. I was a drill instructor up in Great Lakes at the Navy's boot camp up there. And I got my first real camera. I got the D300, and I figured, well, if I'm gonna buy all this expensive stuff, I need to start making money with it. So I started teaching myself how to do a lot of these things. And the very first thing that I did was brand conscious. I decided that I needed to get with somebody to develop a logo. I needed a good color palette, and I needed to decide what my brand was going to be at that point. And so from pretty much day one, I just did a rebranding last year. I went from JW Lee Photography to JW Lee Media, but all of my colors and everything stayed the same. My logo stayed the same. It just did quite a little tweak, update, and whatnot. But I tried to
wildly forward thinking of you.
Yes,
to do that early on.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially considering I'm a knucklehead. I was a jet engine mechanic in the military, so I'm not a Harvard educated guy. But again, one of the things that I did when I knew that I was going to do this full time, and that's what I wanted to do when I grew up and got out of the military, I started going to school to get my business degree, because I know so many photographers out there that I know so many amazing photographers that have never made a dime because they're terrible at business. And I know so many mediocre photographers out there that are amazing at business and they make a killing, and then everything in between. And so if you're going to be successful at this, business needs to be at the absolute forefront of everything that you do. Everything else can take a back seat until you really understand how to run the business, and your branding is right there at the top of that. You look at any Fortune 500 company that's existing in this world, look at their top line items. Their top line items are always going to be marketing and advertising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, I created my logo on my couch. And it's not the logo I have now, but I always had in mind when I was creating, I always wanted to own a media company. That was a huge thing for me. Like, I wanted to own my own business and, like, help people grow and, see people become successful with the help of, like, me and what I've created. So what I did was, I was like, what can I really resonate with? Northern, we're in Canada. Excellent, check. Spruce, if I'm driving down the Trans-Canada Highway in Newfoundland, spruce trees are everywhere. Check. I really, really love that. And then media, I wanted nothing to do with real estate photo, house max photo, video, dot ink or something like that. I wanted it to be media because at the end of the day, I didn't want to just do real estate. I wanted to broaden that. So I knew if I had just like anything having to do with house or like, you know, drone house, whatever, there's so many names that are so similar. I wanted mine to stand out. So that's where I came up with my name. I feel like it is a little bit too long at this point. I want to trim it down.
You could just shorten to the letters, you know.
NSM. We always say NSM now. But I wanted my brand. I'm huge into branding. I like bright colors. You'll see the trees, they're lime green. Our color branding is consistent throughout. Whatever you're looking at, whether it's our website, social media, anything that's like printed, everything matches. So our brand is huge. People recognize now the trees in our area. So I think branding is massive and it's very, very important. So I mean, at the end of the day, if you're just starting your business and like you want to think like 10 years down the line, where do I want to see this? Keep that in mind right now. You know what I mean? Because it's like if you don't want to just do houses and you want to, you know, maybe change to food and drink or tourism, have it not just focused on house or media.
That's also extremely forward thinking.
And if
I
I
see
can
why you guys
piggyback
are
on
so
that,
successful.
if I can piggyback on that last little bit that you were talking about there real quick, you talked about, you know, different areas of that. You know, there is residential real estate and then there's commercial, there's everything else. And I feel like that's one of the areas where real estate photographers getting into real estate photography kind of mess things up. They're charging people the same for an Airbnb that they're charging for a real estate shoot. And it's two totally different ends of the spectrum. And so for me, I have my real estate pricing and then I have my commercial pricing. My commercial pricing is double what my real estate pricing is. And then when I get somebody that gives me pushback and says, well, why am I being charged double what a realtor pays? And I say, you're not. That's my normal rate. My realtors get a 50% discount because all they're buying is a license.
Mm-hmm.
So flip that on them.
That's a nugget. Thank you. That's
Nuggets. I'm full of nuggets. Some good, some what in the world?
So what I'm hearing from both of you, which is very cool, is that, you know, putting the effort in up front pays dividends, you know, down the road, which makes a lot of sense. I can't count how many businesses we've seen, you know, at iGUIDE that, you know, change their names from something to media at some point, like probably countless numbers. And we've gone through, you know, 5, 6, 7 logo changes maybe. So that's pretty cool. I think you guys are unique. That's a good insight.
Yeah, it's very important to mirror yourself after you have to look at yourself as a brand, just the same as Target, McDonald's, anything else out there, and follow that playbook, you know?
Yeah. I also think too, it's very important to look at other industries. For example, I went to conferences like Ritz-Carlton had a conference here in Burlington, and I went to that. And I learned so much about the hotel industry and how they run their luxury hotel. Like I can't even go to a Ritz-Carlton if I wanted to
It's
right now.
mind blowing.
Yeah, so it's like I learned so much from the way they do things and how they present themselves and how they are that luxe brand, you know? And I took so many nuggets and implemented that into my business. I left that being like, damn, I now need to attend like, you know, food and beverage conferences and learn from them and take nuggets from that and implement it into my business.
Okay. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to skip a question because we're going to run out of time here, and I'm going to move on to one that I think is really important. So, new real estate photographers, you know, very experienced, seasoned real estate photographers, all have to combine different media into the perfect recipe for their clients to make something that is effective for them, you know, and it's a little different depending on what market you're in. But what would you guys say is the perfect combination of the perfect recipe of items that would make a perfect listing? So I'm going to add an extra thing on the end of this question before you guys answer it, because you guys have done enough talking. Goodness knows, right? So something that's really interesting is that we've got a lot of new people here. So what they might not understand is that it's not always a case of you deliver what your agents ask for your clients. Sometimes they expect you to tell them what it is that they should order, if that makes any sense. So what would you tell an agent or a client to order if you had to give them sort of the perfect combination of things for their listing?
You know
Well,
what? Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. Okay. I'll take it. Understanding the real estate market is extremely important as well. I didn't understand it very much in the beginning, so it took a lot of learning. But now, close to 10 years in, I understand the real estate market better than a lot of my agents do. I follow a lot of realtors on TikTok. I listen to a lot of different brokers talking, and who are the people that do the mortgage brokers and things like that. So I stay in tune with what's going on in my area. Florida is very unique in the fact that over the last few years, we've had so many people move here that our real estate landscape has kind of changed a little bit, and things are starting to stagnate on the listing side of things. So homes are staying on market for an extended period of time. So being able to understand that and being able to shift, how you handle things and educate your clients. Educating your clients is extremely, extremely important. So if I have a client, especially a newer client that comes to me and they're like, I want to do this. And I say, have you thought about doing this? The 800-pound gorilla in the real estate market in the United States is Zillow. 98% of all searches for real estate start on Zillow. So we can either get with it or we can Blockbuster, ourselves or Kodak ourselves. And so I hinged on that. So I created a new package that's called the Zillow Special. And I do interior, exterior, aerial, a basic floor plan, and a Zillow 3D home tour. And I have that package. And the second I started offering it, it started selling like crazy because that Zillow 3D home tour gives that listing a boost on Zillow for the duration of the listing. So it makes their listing more visible on the platform that 98% of people start their search on. And I tell my clients that just like I told you guys that here. I educate my clients on these are the things that are going to work for you. And, if all you want to do is inside and outside photos, yeah, cool, I'll do that. I have no problem doing that. But you're going to be calling me in 3 to 6 months when that listing is still sitting there because your homeowner is still on COVID pricing and they're wanting, 20% over what actual asking should be. It's a brutal market out there. And the more that you know about it, the more that you can educate your clients, the smarter it makes you look, and it's good all around.
Yeah. No, that's good. For example, I have a call today with a client because she has a certain kind of property and she wants best advice on what she should do for that property. And I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write notes and then be like, okay, this is what I think you should do. Here are your options for this. You could go this route or you can go that route. I've been at listings before when a client has ordered the largest package and I show up to the house and I'm like, oh shit, this should be the lowest package. So I'll call them and I'll be like, hey, I just want you to know I don't think it's worth doing a real and a horizontal and all the neighbors has a car going through the window. Like it's just like it's not looking good. So let's cut this down. And it takes a lot. I think some people would be like, oh man, this house is going to take me 2 minutes. It looks like trash, but they ordered this. So I'm going to give them what they asked for. But I think it takes a lot of courage to call an agent and be like, I don't think this is worth it. But it builds trust. And they're like, okay, Alex isn't in this just for the extra $500. She's in this for me. And, now this person can call me at any time or anyone even on my team and ask what is best. I'm just an honest person, at the end of the day, it's like I want everybody's dollar to be spent well and it go a long way. I don't even want to edit something that doesn't look good or feel good. You know what I mean? And I want my clients to also be proud of the house that they have a video at, for example. And if they're not going to feel proud or even post it, then why did we shoot it and why did I charge them?
That's so important. So very important.
Yeah.
That was a really, really good answer. I just say this after everything you guys say. I'm just
There's a reason
Why?
we've been doing this
Gonna
so
have a
long and we're
coffee,
so
hang out. You guys
successful at
chat.
it.
You got this.
Yeah.
You don't need me. Okay, so this is going to be our last question, then maybe we'll have time for a few chat questions. And so this one is about technology. So things have changed over the last few years, wildly, radically. Like everything is completely different, it feels, from 2020 to now. 5 years has felt like an eternity. How has technology, just broadly speaking, changed your real estate marketing businesses? And what new technology have you introduced, and what has that done for you?
I will say this, and I've seen it popped up in the chat a few times about post-production stuff. I do find a lot of people are getting their videos edited by freelancers overseas or whatnot. The one thing, I've tried it, it just does it for me. The quality, I like the control, Jonathan, I just can't. The other thing that kills me is they always charge in USD, and being in Canada right now, it's not not worth it. I'd rather hire people. So that's what I've done. For us, I still do a lot of my post-production stuff in-house. Yeah, the technology is changing, and like we implement a lot of cool things. We stay with the trends and so on and so forth. But the one thing that is easier for us is we're training in AI right now to edit our photos. And it's probably about 80% good. And like once it's good, I don't need photo editors anymore. I'm now gonna shift their role, because I do have photo editors in-house, shift the role into something bigger and better. But to say the least, like in terms of technology, we're just training AI for photo editing. And I just love the control of the quality that we do. So
Are you using AI for any video stuff?
no, no, no.
I haven't investigated it, but that's been a hot one recently.
Yeah.
So on my end, when it comes to technology, I am a big tech nerd, and that's probably one of the main reasons why I got into photography when I did. I just love technology. I've always loved. I built my own PCs for many years until last year when I switched everything over to Apple, and I did that for my own sanity. I just I needed a seamless system that worked for me well at home and on the road, and Apple just fits the bill for me for that. And I was one of the biggest Apple haters out there in the world. And so, but it works for me. And to piggyback on what Alex said, yes, when it comes to editing, especially for videos, outsourcing your video editing is not, unless you're paying top dollar, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to justify those prices. I do outsource my photo editing, and it's just my interior and exterior. That's it. And the only reason I do that is because I have my editors take care of the heavy lifting for me, right? It got to the point where, for me, in the off months, I shoot between 3 and 5 houses a day, 5 days a week. In the heavy months in the summertime, I'm shooting between 5 and 7 houses a day, 5 times a week. Again, I'm a lone gunman. I'm the only one doing this. So I would shoot until, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, come home, have dinner with my family, and then be back in the office editing again until 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm 45 years old. That's no way to live, man. So I needed something to pick up the heavy lifting on that. And so I find the things that are taking up my time. And if anything in my business is taking up too much of my time, I eliminate that. And so that's why I do my outsourcing like that. But as far as technology, like cool things that I've added tech-wise, drone, getting your Part 107 license has to be at the top of your list. You need that. When I started cold calling realtors, the first question they would ask me is, do you have your drone license? And when I'd say no, they say, okay, call me back when you do. Okay, so learning and understanding how to work a drone. Other things, you can kind of outsource those in the beginning if you're not ready for it and whatnot. But the more that you can take on that load, the better things are going to be. When it comes to video work, I edit all my own videos in DaVinci. Like I said, I shoot with the Z8 and the Z9 because I can shoot 12-bit uncompressed RAW internal, which is extremely important because I can get beautiful exterior and interior views out of one file. And a lot of other video platforms that are only shooting 10-bit log, you're not getting that at all. There's no way to get that level of dynamic range. And so that was very important to me. And for the longest time, I was on the Zillow and Matterport kind of tandem. And the biggest thing that I've noticed in the real estate world is that Matterport is becoming a bad word. It's becoming a 4-letter word in real estate. And rightfully so. They don't take care of us, the end user. They're not taking care of the real estate agents. And it's just, the system is just not, they're not forward. They're blockbustering themselves for sure. And so again, with me doing a lot of the teaching I do, I went to Imaging USA and I met with the folks at iGUIDE. And over a couple of old fashions, sitting out one night, we talked about how things were for me in the residential real estate world and how things were for them. I've always been a fan of the iGUIDE company, and we struck up a great conversation and whatnot. And they sent me one of their cameras to use a couple months ago, and it is mind-blowing how amazing the tech side of that system is. The LiDAR sensing that's in there, it knows exactly where I am walking throughout the house. It minimizes my time on site. The end results are extremely polished. When I first pulled up one of the iGUIDEs and showed it to one of my in person to one of my top clients, he looked at it and started clicking through it, and he said, "This is what a virtual tour should look like." The fact that they can brand themselves in it as well, because all these platforms like Zillow and Realtor.com, they're not giving the information back to the realtor. The realtors are having to pay for that information additionally. The fact that iGUIDE builds that into their system, it's just another selling point for that. So it's very easy for me to sell the iGUIDE system to my realtors, because the second I show them, hey, you're going to get a weekly traffic report that lets you know what people are looking at, they're like, sold, do it.
Yeah.
Whatever you got to do. And so I can't say enough good things about the system. The other thing I want to say, last thing I'll say on that is when we're working in the field, sometimes we run into issues, and it's very important for us to be able to quickly reach out and talk to somebody if we're having an issue. If I have an issue with my Nikon, I'm a Nikon professional services member. I can call a direct hotline and get somebody on the phone right away, immediately. If I'm having an issue with DJI, I'm kind of stuck. Their customer service isn't the greatest in the world. The first issue and only issue I ever had, and it's because I didn't read the RTFM. I didn't read the friggin' manual when I was doing my iGUIDE. I didn't know how to start a new one. And so I called the hotline, and I was blown away to find out that they have a direct line for in the field people. That is so absolutely amazing. I pressed 2 and I'm right into somebody. I think I waited on hold for less than 30 seconds. And I spoke with a real human being, and they told me exactly what I needed to do to get it up and running. And I'm talking less than 2 minutes, and I knew exactly where I needed to be. Everybody on the iGUIDE team has been so amazing and just so helpful with getting that up and running. Those are the kind of systems and people that you as an operator out in the field want to align yourself with, because it makes your job easier.
Well, hey, you were invited back, okay?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, we gotta post that, because that was the greatest testimonial ever. But I'm going to totally agree with you, because like at the end of the day, we started with Matterport and the customer service was so terrible. And I'm so sorry if anybody loves Matterport. When we switched to iGUIDE, the fact that, like you said, if you need to call someone, email somebody, you get a response right away. Like you're never left in the dark. Whereas Matterport, agents were getting mad at us because like we couldn't get a response from them, and we had explained third-party company, and like there's nothing we can do, our hands are tied. But the moment we drop that, no more issues. But the analytics is huge, the branding is huge. Agents, like I sat down with all my top agents and I was like, listen guys, for your iGUIDE, we're gonna get this set up so it's just like it's something that it's branded to you, and this is gonna elevate you so much more. And agents ate that shit up.
Yeah.
I ate that shit up, and they're willing to pay for it.
And real quick, I noticed that Nicholas Farrell, sorry if I'm butchering your name, he asked, how do you get your agents to switch from wanting Zillow Showcase to iGUIDE? I don't get them to switch. I get them to get both. And here's why. You can sell both of them and charge the additional for that. What's great is the Zillow 3D Home Tour. The best thing about the Zillow 3D Home Tour is it gives it a boost on the Zillow platform. However, the tour experience on the back end is not the best in the world. So you sell your clients on the fact that just adding this is going to increase the visibility of the listing on the Zillow marketplace. All right. Now, when it comes to a virtual tour, if you want a gold standard virtual tour, if you want something that has the polish and has all of the niceties and stuff like that, that's when you bring in iGUIDE. And you can show them, both of them side by side, and you can tell them this is how this is going to benefit you as the realtor, because iGUIDE is going to give you that direct response and the direct feedback. The Zillow is going to give it a boost on Zillow. So really, when it comes to the Zillow 3D virtual tour, realtors are buying that mainly just to get that boost. Really, that's really the best thing about it. But for the actual virtual tour, it's iGUIDE all the way. I mean, the system just works. When you click on things, it goes where you want it to go. The floor plans are very well thought out, extremely fast turnarounds too. I've used Kubicasa for many years, and their floor plan turnarounds with iGUIDE are light years faster than Kubicasa. So the great thing about that is I can replace that additionally with iGUIDE as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw one come in from, looks like Jodell Forsberg, asking, is Flambient an upsell for you? How do you compare the quality of HDR to Flambient? Flambient is great if you're doing your own editing. It's a lot easier to edit than HDR. It gives you a lot more true and accurate colors. There's actions that you can put in Photoshop that kind of help speed that process up. So for me, if I'm doing my own editing, it's Flambient all the way. If I'm outsourcing, HDR is a lot quicker on site. And the results that I get from the team that I work with, which is NPN Imaging, are second to none. They're absolutely amazing. I put the contact information in there, ken.npnimaging@gmail.com. You can reach out to them, let them know that I sent you. But their editing team is excellent. So I would say if you're doing your own editing, for me, what worked the best, it was Flambient. And if you're outsourcing, HDR all the way. What are your thoughts on that, Alex? Did you ever do any Flambient or anything like that?
No, we just do straight HDR for everything. Yeah, so the lighting stuff, totally great for you. We've tested it out and stuff, but I mean, like, we do such high volume and the turnaround is always really, really fast. So we just stick to the HDR stuff and keep that consistent.
Oh, here's a good question for you, Alex. It's from Nicholas. It says, I'm looking to hire my first new photographer. How do you go about doing that?
Oh, that is a good one. Yeah.
Geez. I mean, obviously hiring is a painful process. You're going to learn a lot from it. You're going to learn that a lot of people are going to waste your time and are flaky. That is for sure. But here for us, like, we just post our job posting on Indeed. We make it as clear as possible, as transparent as possible. And at the end of the day, it's like, after they're done applying and when we do the interview process, I'm always looking. This is key. This honestly, this will save you so much time. Do not hire for talent, hire for attitude, because you cannot train talent, but you can train. No, now I'm mixed up. You can't train attitude, but you can train talent to shoot just like you. Almost every single person on my team came in not knowing a lick of real estate, which is excellent because then they don't have an ego in it. And at the end of the day, they're down here when they start, they're up here by, 3 months in. So hire for attitude, do not hire for talent. Talent sometimes comes with ego and it's not trainable. So I would say that's the best thing. The other thing that is always good to keep people, and here's one thing with me, like, I have a team, there's 20 of us on my team. I don't have fast turnaround. People stay, and they stay because, one, I offer a lot. I offer work culture. I offer like team events. Birthdays. We give gifts for birthdays. I do every single month, $500 straight into someone's pocket for employee of the month. And that's a Visa gift card or a straight up e-transfer, not going through payroll where they're deducted a shit ton of money. But you know, there's so many incentives. I also do benefits. Like there's not like really any media companies in the area that pay half 50-50 in benefits. So yeah, and always offer growth, you know. So if you're hiring somebody that is just starting to shoot and you're paying them a salary or hourly, make sure that they know that they have a future with you. You know, it's not just going to be for the next 6 months when you're busy, but how are you going to maintain them and keep them when it's slow? You know, so that's a huge thing. Like you have to have goals for your employees as well, so you can grow with them and they're not just going to grow and screw off somewhere else, which is possible because I mean at the end of the day everybody thinks they can own, run and operate a business. And you know, they can try it, but they might come back because they know how good it was with you, and some people just
And
are,
it's hard.
yeah, some people are not leaders, some people are followers, and there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes that's a huge hit to reality, but I think like all those things, but the biggest thing is hire for attitude, not for talent.
Okay, I got
Cool,
another one
cool.
that I kind of like. So how do you guys decide how far your your coverage radius is, if you will, and how do you charge for travel? This comes up all the time, so this is a good one.
Yeah. For
You know,
me,
because there's
that's a,
that temptation to want to be able to drive anywhere because you don't get
yeah.
as many jobs when you first start. But yeah, how do you guys deal with that?
For me, that's a huge, huge thing. I average 1,100 miles a week driving. I bought a brand new car in May of 2022, and I'm at 187,000 miles on that vehicle now. Yeah. So when it comes to travel, I figured out each year I analyze what my metrics are, and I keep track of what is my average distance. And for me, my average travel time over the first couple of years was about 42 minutes. Was how long I would travel to a listing, which roughly equated to about 35 miles. So anything inside that 35-mile radius is covered under my base package. And then once it goes over that 35 miles, it then goes to 70 cents per mile for every mile thereafter. And then if it's beyond, like if it's going to take me a day to go there, because I go all the way up to Savannah, Georgia. I go out to the Panhandle to Tallahassee. I go down to Orlando, Tampa, Miami, all over the place. And some of those are going to take me an entire day, maybe a stay over. So then those things are going to require potential, hotel, per diem, all that different kind of stuff. But yeah, typically 70 cents per mile for anything outside of my 35-mile radius. And then if it's, a full day thing, then I start looking at extra.
Yeah, I'm the same way, just in the Canadian dollars at the end of the day. And for me, like since I have shooters kind of everywhere, well, not everywhere, but in our region, I end up paying their mileage as well, right? So they send me monthly bill of like, here are all the things where, I was driving over 35 kilometers. So if somebody on my team is driving over 35 kilometers, I pay them a certain amount per drive, I guess you could say. For my clients, same thing. Over 35 kilometers, I charge them 0.71 per kilometer after 35. So here's the thing: if clients don't want to pay that, they don't value you. And at the end of the day, it's an adios amigos for me kind of thing.
Yep.
If they don't want to pay $10 to cover your gas, too bad.
Yeah, if that's where you draw the line in the sand, then I don't want to work with you anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, this will be our last question, I think. What would you guys recommend for an entry-level drone? What's the go-to drone right now?
I think the minis are always great because I mean, you know what? I don't know what the US standard is with the drone licensing and all of that, but if it's under a certain weight, which the mini is, you're good to go here, and it's a good starting drone. It can't handle wind as much, so just be aware. I always tell my team like, hey, if it's too windy, don't do it. We can always go back. But I think I don't even know what the drones are anymore, but the mini is a good starting one for us.
Yeah. So on since I'm in the America side of things, if you are operating a drone, you have to have your 107. Okay, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. A lot of people are like, well, I'm not charging or whatever the case may be. If it's being used in the furtherance of a business, it's considered commercial use, and therefore you have to have your Part 107. It's an absolute must. It's an $11,000 fine if you get caught. So don't get caught. Number two, even if it's under the 250-gram rule for the United States, you're still operating it in the use of a business. You still have to have your Part 107 for that. So that doesn't play in America for us. As far as a good starter, I would say echo what Alex said. Mavic Mini, the Mini 4 Pro is a really, really great one. I've heard a lot of good things about it. The Air 2S, I believe, is another really good one if you want to step up to something that can handle wind a little bit better. For me here in Florida, like I said, I am shooting anywhere between 3 and 7 houses a day. Last thing I like to do is drive that 45 minutes back out again to redo the aerials or have to do the aerials on a different day because it was a little windy that day. So for me, it's the Mavic 4 or the Mavic Pro line of things. I've had the 1, 2, and the 3. I'll end up getting the 4 when it comes out. It's extremely important for me because down here in Florida, we deal with a lot of wind shear because we're a peninsula. And so we get up to 400 feet and you're sometimes dealing with 20, 25 mile an hour winds. And that Mavic just handles it tremendously. I would say that the Cine version of that is absolutely unnecessary. The only thing you're getting with the Cine is the ability to shoot in Apple ProRes, and it has the internal. I have the Mavic 3 Pro, and the 10-bit log I can grade to look exactly like my Nikon. So I wouldn't worry about that on the video side of things. And as far as the photo side of things, having the 3 lenses to be able to zoom really helps me in a lot of different commercial applications. And yeah, it's just I rely very heavily on my drone. So the Mavic 3 Pro is absolutely it for me. But I would definitely entertain having a Mavic, the Mini 4 Pro as a backup.
Okay, I have a little nerd question. So I know I said that was the last question. I lied.
No.
I'm a bad host. I'm
I
sorry.
love questions.
So do you guys ever do 360s with your drones? 360 images with Sphero mode or whatever it's called?
It's funny. So Insta just released their X5, or just announced it, right? And I was watching a video.
X4 and X5. I'm like, okay.
I was watching a video last night with Maddie, another one of your wonderful Canadian. Canadians are cornering the freaking market with YouTubers, man. You guys got all the free, and you got Alanis Morissette too. So
very charismatic.
And Nickelback, right? Thank you for that. But I was watching a video with Maddie last night, and he had one of those X5s on the FPV drone, and he was flying it around, and it got me to thinking. I was like, man, I wonder if I can throw a 360 drone, up there. I know with the drones you can do a 360, but I've never integrated them into really any of. I've never had a request for it. But
the reason I asked
is that
we did a big fancy cottage when we were testing out the new R1 camera in the summer, and we had a guy come with the drone to do video, and I said, can you do a 360 over the lake? And it is so cool because you can put it right in the iGUIDE. It's like you can click on it as a point of view, and
you can.
yeah, and it's like little plug for iGUIDE feature here, but it's incredible. Like the resolution's crazy high and you can look all around and like it's just wild. I absolutely love it.
So wait, I can do a 360 with my drone and then put that into, oh, that's right, because you can import the photos and stuff like that.
Yeah, any 1x2 image you can import in if you want, and you can swap them out or do whatever. So you just go and add a user pano and then add it in. And so if you've got a drone panorama, it just like takes the whole tour to like a whole other level because you get that top down exterior kind of view.
I'm gonna do that.
Just neat.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to start doing that whenever I do the iGuides. And next time we do this, I'll let you know how it's working out.
That was the whole point of this whole webinar. Was just to
there it is. You got me. You got me.
Okay, I think we're all done. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. That was amazing. I'm definitely going to invite you back. There's so much stuff we didn't talk about, like copyright and potential for growing your business in different ways. So maybe there's enough content for like 5 more webinars. Goodness. So again, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and congratulations to our winners as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Adios.
Take care. Take care. It's good seeing y'all.